Hey folks, before we dive in, I want to remind you to follow SkyAlert USA so you don't miss this video or any of our future updates. If you find our coverage helpful, please support us by subscribing, liking and dropping a comment below. We sure do appreciate it. Welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your #1 source for breaking weather alerts, severe storm coverage and life-saving forecasts across the United States and Canada. I'm your host, and today, Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, we have an enormous amount of weather to break down for you. We are coming out of one of the most destructive and historic winter storm events this country has seen in years, and I need to warn you right now, the weather pattern is not done with us yet. A dangerous Arctic cold front is bearing down on the northern tier as we speak, and the next 72 hours are going to be critical for tens of millions of people. Stay with us. This is a full, detailed broadcast covering every major US state, region and Canada. Let's get right into it. Let's start by addressing what just happened, because the damage is still being assessed and millions of people are still digging out. From February 22nd through February 24th, a historic bomb cyclone, unofficially named Winter Storm Hernando by the Weather Channel, unleashed catastrophic conditions across the northeastern United States and Atlantic Canada in what meteorologists are already calling the blizzard of 2026. This was not an ordinary nor'easter. This was a rapid intensification event, a bomb cyclone, where the central pressure of the storm dropped at an extraordinary rate overnight, causing the system to explode in intensity. The storm originated from a shortwave trough that moved ashore along the west coast on February 20th. It swept eastward across the country within 48 hours, and by February 22nd, a brand new surface low had formed off the southeastern US coast. From that point, the system moved rapidly northward and underwent explosive cyclogenesis, meaning the pressure dropped so fast and so dramatically that the storm essentially transformed into a near hurricane-strength wind machine. Here is what this storm delivered. In New Jersey, particularly near the Jersey Shore, snowfall totals reached as high as 30 inches. That's 2.5 feet of snow, with wind gusts of 60 miles per hour reported. Coastal flooding affected low-lying neighborhoods, especially in Atlantic City. NJ Transit suspended all bus and light rail service beginning February 22nd. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro issued a full disaster emergency declaration, and PennDOT deployed over 170 trucks with 60,000 tons of road salt across 5 counties. In New England, blizzard conditions were officially confirmed in Portland and Sanford, Maine. Minor but significant coastal flooding and beach erosion occurred along the Maine coastline, driven by a storm surge of 2 to 3 feet and waves reaching 10 to 15 feet. Near hurricane-force wind gusts were recorded. In New Hampshire, both Hampton and Rochester confirmed blizzard conditions, while Dover and New Ipswich each saw nearly 10 inches of accumulation. In Vermont, a vehicle slid off Interstate 91 during the height of the blizzard. Reedsboro received nearly 7 inches of snow. Across interior Massachusetts and Connecticut, the snow was heavy and wet, causing widespread power outages and tree damage. By the morning of February 23rd, many residents across New England had lost power, with gusty winds and heavy snow continuing through the night. Now, moving into Atlantic Canada, the storm tracked northeastward into Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, just as Canadian meteorologists had warned. Environment and Climate Change Canada had issued orange weather warnings for most of Nova Scotia. Municipal offices, facilities and libraries in Halifax were closed on February 23rd. A parking ban in Halifax went into effect February 24th. Schools across the province had early dismissals or full closures. Winds were forecast to exceed 80 kilometers per hour. That's nearly 50 miles per hour. In Newfoundland and Labrador, coastal flood advisories, wind warnings and blowing snow advisories were all in effect simultaneously. As of today, February 25th, the storm system has fully moved off the US coastline and is tracking along the Canadian Maritimes. However, the NWS Weather Prediction Centre confirms that gusty winds are persisting across the northeast through this morning, gradually decreasing through this evening. Power restoration crews are working overtime across multiple states and provinces. Travel conditions remain hazardous in many areas. Now, let's turn to what is happening on the ground right now across all regions of the country. Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. The blizzard of 2026 is winding down, but the cleanup is monumental. Wind gusts are still running 20 to 35 miles per hour from Maine down through New Jersey this morning. Temperatures are running well below freezing, meaning any snow that was melted by coastal ocean air is now refreezing on roadways. Black ice is a life-threatening concern this morning for any drivers in this region. The NWS has urged residents to avoid non-essential travel until conditions fully improve. Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. A new Clipper system, a fast-moving Alberta-origin storm, is producing heavy snow across the Great Lakes today. The NWS Weather Prediction Centre confirmed this Clipper system is bringing heavy snow to the region right now. Lake-effect snow bands are re-energizing off Lakes Erie, Ontario and Michigan, which means localized snowfall totals can spike sharply over short distances. Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit and Chicago metro areas should all prepare for an additional round of snow accumulation today. Whiteout conditions are possible in some lake-effect corridors. Central U.S. plains. Here is something remarkable. While the northeast is buried in snow, temperatures across the southwest and into parts of the central plains are running 15 to 25 degrees above average. The NWS Weather Prediction Centre reports that high temperatures in the 60s are being recorded as far north as Nebraska and South Dakota today. In the desert southwest, Arizona, Nevada, Southern California, temperatures could challenge record highs, with readings potentially pushing into the 90s. Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Palm Springs should monitor for possible record-high temperature events through this period. West Coast. The Pacific Northwest is being impacted by a significant atmospheric river, a plume of tropical moisture originating from the tropics, moving ashore in Oregon today. Heavy rain is falling from Northern California through Oregon and into southern Washington. The NWS Weather Prediction Centre has issued a slight risk of excessive rainfall for portions of the northern Sierra Nevada mountains and adjacent foothills in California. This means flash flooding is possible in burn scar areas, steep terrain and urban environments. This is not a drill. Residents in these zones must monitor their local NWS office for updates throughout the day. In the mountains of California, heavy snow is falling at elevation. The Sierra Nevada is picking up significant snowpack today, which is actually welcome news for the drought-sensitive water supply, but avalanche danger is elevated in the high country. Florida. A passing cold front is approaching Florida today, And the NWS forecasts a chance of showers and thunderstorms for Florida Friday into Saturday. There is a growing signal that a wave of low pressure will develop along this front, potentially producing a widespread moderate to heavy rainfall event, with 1 to 2 inches common and localized amounts of 2 to 4 inches possible in some areas. While outright flash flooding is not expected at this time, minor urban flooding is a possibility, especially in low-lying areas of South Florida. Hawaii. A flat shortwave ridge is keeping conditions relatively stable, with isolated showers directed mainly toward windward slopes. However, strong northerly swell activity is generating rough surf conditions along windward coastlines. Ocean safety is a concern. Beachgoers and surfers should use extreme caution. Now, here is the story you need to pay close attention to, because this is the most dangerous weather development on the horizon for the next 72 hours and beyond. According to the NWS Weather Prediction Center's extended forecast discussion issued just yesterday, a strong cold front and Arctic high-pressure system is moving southward into the northern tier this weekend. The timeline is Friday into the weekend, and the temperature drops behind this front are going to be dramatic and dangerous. Let's walk through who gets impacted and when. The cold front will push across the northern plains and Great Lakes on Friday, February 27th, with the coldest air filtering into the upper Midwest by Saturday. For North Dakota and Minnesota specifically, the NWS is forecasting single-digit highs and lows below 0 Fahrenheit. Wind chill values in these states could drop to 20 to 30 degrees below zero. That is life-threatening cold for anyone caught outside without proper protection. This is the same type of Arctic air mass that already devastated parts of the country in late January. Remember, during the January cold wave, Grand Rapids, Michigan dropped to minus 19 degrees Fahrenheit, Flint reached minus 24, and eastern Iowa saw wind chills below minus 40. This new Arctic push is poised to deliver similarly extreme conditions to the upper Midwest and northern Great Lakes. At the same time, a weak clipper storm will ride the southern edge of the dropping Arctic high, spreading a swathe of light snow from Montana through the Great Lakes and eventually into the northeast from Friday through Sunday. This clipper will not be a major snowstorm, but it will add to already significant snow depths and create slippery travel conditions through the weekend. Here is what each region should expect in the 3-day outlook. Friday, February 27th. Cold front arrives in northern plains and Great Lakes. Snow, squalls and lake effect activity increases behind the frontal passage. Temperatures drop sharply across the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Florida sees developing showers and thunderstorms ahead of the front. Pacific Northwest continues to receive heavy rain and mountain snow. Desert Southwest records potentially record-breaking warm temperatures, highs in the 90s possible. Saturday, February 28th. Arctic high pressure settles over the upper Midwest. Wind chills 20 to 30 below 0 Fahrenheit in North Dakota, Minnesota, and parts of Wisconsin. Single-digit high temperatures in the Dakotas and Minnesota. Cold front pushes into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley with temperature drops of 15 to 25 degrees. A swath of light snow extends from the Great Lakes toward the northeast. Florida continues to track rainfall accumulation from the slow-moving frontal system. Desert Southwest remains warm and dry. Record highs still in play. Sunday, March 1st. Cold front reaches the northeast and mid-Atlantic. temperature falls of 10 to 20 degrees expected across the I-95 corridor from DC to Boston, which was just buried in blizzard snow and is still recovering. Pacific energy and moisture could begin to interact with the retreating cold air mass over the Mississippi Valley, creating a potential wintry precipitation threat for the Mississippi Valley, Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as early as Monday into Tuesday of next week. This means another round of winter weather is possible very early in March. So stay tuned. For our Canadian viewers, here is your breakdown. Ontario and Quebec. Toronto is still dealing with the aftermath of one of its most brutal winters on record. In January alone, Toronto Pearson Airport set a new all-time record for the snowiest month ever, with 88.2 centimeters of snowfall logged. The Clipper system moving through the Great Lakes this week will drop additional light snow across southern Ontario. The cold front arriving this weekend will push temperatures back below seasonal normals across Ontario and Quebec. Residents in Montreal, Toronto and Ottawa should prepare for a return to deep cold through the weekend. Maritime provinces, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland are still recovering from the blizzard of 2026 that moved through February 22nd to 24th. Cleanup continues, power restoration is ongoing in affected areas, and travel remains difficult on secondary roads and in rural communities. Halifax is under a parking ban that is likely to remain in effect. Environment and Climate Change Canada continues to monitor conditions closely. Prairie provinces Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba are in the path of the incoming Arctic high this weekend. Wind chill values across the prairies could be extreme. Regina, Saskatoon, Winnipeg and Calgary should all prepare for dangerous wind chills approaching -35 to -40 degrees Celsius in exposed areas. Saskatchewan residents may recall that just in January, 3 towns broke all-time cold weather records. This new Arctic push has the potential to once again challenge records in the prairies, British Columbia. The Pacific low tracking into the region is bringing heavy precipitation to the coast mountains and the interior. At least a dozen cities in British Columbia recently broke daily heat records on February 4th, a remarkable contrast to what is happening on the rest of the continent. This week, however, the Pacific system will deliver significant rain to Vancouver and the lower mainland, with heavy snow at elevation in the Coast Range and Rockies. Let's take a step back and look at the massive atmospheric forces driving all of this extreme weather, because understanding the science helps you prepare better. The root cause of this relentless winter is a sudden stratospheric warming event, or SSW, that occurred at the very start of 2026. This high-energy event disrupted and effectively collapsed the polar vortex, the powerful circulation of cold air that normally stays locked near the Arctic. When the polar vortex weakens or breaks apart, the cold air it was containing escapes southward into the mid-latitudes, meaning the United States and Canada become the new home for Arctic air masses that should be sitting over Siberia and northern Canada. Meteorologists at NOAA, ECMWF and Severe Weather Europe all confirm that the stratospheric warming event collided with a rare counterforce, the Madden-Julian Oscillation, a powerful tropical atmospheric wave which temporarily disrupted the pattern and gave us brief periods of above-normal warmth in the east. But that interference is now dissipating, and the polar pattern is reasserting itself. Looking ahead to early March, the forecast models, including the European ECMWF ensemble, show continued cold air support over the northern and central United States. There is an increasing signal for another wintry precipitation event targeting the Mississippi Valley into the mid-Atlantic and northeast early next week. The exact details are still being resolved by the models, but residents along the I-95 corridor should stay alert. We will have a full update on that potential system in our next broadcast. Folks, this has been an extraordinary winter, one for the record books. The blizzard of 2026 has joined Winter Storm Fern, the January cold wave, and multiple lake effect events as part of a historic season driven by a collapsed polar vortex and back-to-back extreme weather systems. Here is the bottom line for today, Wednesday, February 25th. The northeastern New England are clearing out but remain dangerous due to cold temperatures, lingering wind, and icy roads. The Great Lakes are dealing with an active clipper and heavy lake effect snow today. The Pacific Northwest and Northern California are tracking heavy rain and a flooding risk in the Sierra Nevada. The Southwest and Central Plains are enjoying record warm temperatures, but enjoy it while it lasts. A dangerous Arctic front is targeting the northern tier this weekend, with life-threatening wind chills for the Dakotas and Minnesota. Canada is being hit from all sides. Blizzard cleanup in the Maritimes, clipper snow in Ontario, and Arctic cold returning to the prairies. The potential for another winter storm is growing for early March. This is SkyAlert USA. Please share this video with anyone you know in the affected regions. Drop a comment below and tell us your local weather conditions. We want to hear from you. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a weather alert.